Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by FPL Salah to preview Game Week 28. Abdul, pleasure to have you back on the channel. Another green arrow for you last week in Game Week 27. We're getting ever closer now to Game Week 29. Obviously, it's a blank game week. We've got Game Week 28 first, of course. You currently have 4 transfers as well, 4 free transfers to use. So going to be interesting to see what your plans are with your side for this week. And then we'll talk about chip strategy a little bit as well with obviously the FA Cup results. It's been a while since we've chatted. It's felt like a while since the last FPL set of games. But yeah, a decent week for you last week.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was one of those game weeks where I don't think anybody done particularly well because the two popular captaincy picks in Palmer and Salah didn't do too well. Obviously, Salah just got the assist and Palmer blanked. But overall, it was just one of those game weeks where I was kind of happy to. I mean, with my captain blanking, my captain not being Salah, I was more than happy to end up on a green arrow. I think we kind of got away with the one there. So yeah, just on to the next one now.
João Pedro came on for Isak. Got to be pretty happy with that. I feel like
Yeah,
everyone in the end did okay with Isak auto subs. We're going to talk about Isak, of course, a lot in this episode, and because there's been quite a few rumors you were just telling me about off camera, so we're not entirely
yeah,
sure what's going on with his fitness. But João Pedro coming on, and then Colwell with the 14 points with the real
yeah,
difference makers.
yeah. And I was really annoyed because I had João Pedro. Well, it's funny how it works because I had Pedro starting over Dango, and then we saw the Brighton video of Welbeck being with the team, so that kind of put me off a bit. So I put João Pedro on the first bench like about 5 minutes before the deadline for Dango, and that ended up like obviously at the time costing me 7 points, but then it didn't really matter in the end because Isaac came on, and obviously I had a good day with Colwell as well. But yeah, in the end, it didn't matter, but it was a decision I guess, shouldn't have got away with, but I did.
Oh well, you deserve a little bit of luck, I reckon. I mean, I got
Yeah.
Mikalenko off my bench for Isak.
Yeah, well,
So
Mikalenko got his first ever Premier League assist. Um,
really,
yeah, yeah.
wow.
So he's had the like FPL assist before, but he's never had
Ah,
a
okay.
proper assist. So that
Yeah.
was the first proper assist in the Premier League ever. So a good time to
Wow.
get it for you.
Yeah, exactly. So talk about luck. I mean, I'm going to have to take that. Okay,
Yeah,
let's talk about your team for this game week. It's only in a couple of days now. You've got a 91% team rating overall, 94% gaming rating, so still pretty decent.
yeah.
I think the first thing we need to talk about is Isak and just what you think is going on with him.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think he's going to be fine because he played in the FA Cup against Brighton. Obviously, we know he missed Liverpool, but as you said off camera, and I agreed with you that I don't think we don't think Isak was injured for the Liverpool game. I think Eddie Howe kind of just thought we're very likely to lose that game anyway. We'll keep him for the cup games, nice and fresh. So, which is what happened. And but apparently he came off with a bit of a niggle, but. Eddie Howe was saying after the game, he said that he kind of took him off as a precaution before any sort of injuries started reoccurring. So I'm assuming he's totally fine. I know we've had a few Twitter rumors saying that he might be injured, but there's also some that have saying he's fine as well. So I'm going to assume he's fine, and if he is, I think I might just save my transfer again this week.
I mean, it makes sense looking at your team. I'm not entirely sure where you'd
Mm.
go with a transfer. Obviously, you've got 29 in mind.
Yeah,
Um, and it's just how many players right now do you have? I'm trying to work it out on the fly, but it looks like your team is. I mean, you've got the players for
yeah. I mean, I've got
29.
I've got pretty much a full 11.
Yeah,
But like obviously I've got Caldwell there, and I've got João Pedro away to Man City.
yeah.
So these are like two players which I'm probably not going to play that game week. So yeah, although I've got 11 players, I'm still going to make a few transfers to bring in the optimal players. I mean, the plan has been for the past few weeks to get Haaland for game week 29, and that still is what I'm planning to do.
Let's have a look at that right now.
Yeah,
So say you were to roll in game week 28. Let's get to game week 29. I'll just click optimize on your team so we can see how it's looking. And yeah, you already have a full 11 for game week 29 if you were to
yeah,
bench the players that weren't playing. So you're in a very strong
yeah,
position, a stronger position than most. I don't think there's any chance you'd use your free hit here. So yeah, how are you gonna fund Haaland? Thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways really. I mean, again, I'm just going to assume Isak is fine, right? And he's not injured. Obviously, he was injured. It'd be quite easy to get rid of Isak. But assuming he's fine, there's two ways I can do it. I can either get rid of like Palmer or Salah, and I can get Haaland in both ways by keeping Salah and getting rid of Palmer. It just means my kind of defender I'd get, as part of that move, if I got Palmer, would be. Um, like if I was to do Salah out for Haaland, I'd get Guardiola in as well. But
Right.
if I do Palmer, then I'm not able to get to Guardiola, so I'd have to be like a 5 million defender. So I might just go for maybe possibly like maybe a cheaper City defender or just somebody from, I guess, even a Kerkez or a Heidson from Brentford. So I'm not sure yet, but the thing I'm sure about, I'm going to get Haaland, right? What I'm not sure about yet is whether I get it as Salah or Palmer and even Isaac as well. Because there's so many ways I could do it. Like I could actually do Palmer and Isaac out, or I could do Salah and João Pedro out, and I
Yeah.
could keep Palmer and Isaac. But that's just one thing I'm not decided yet, and I think that's something I'll decide on next week. Like the path that I'm favouring right now, right, is going to be in Game Week 29, Trent to Guardiola, João Pedro to Wood, Isaac to Haaland, and Palmer to Kluivert.
Oh wow. Okay, so quite a few moves there. Let me just
Yeah, so,
put all those in so we can have a look. So
yeah,
it was actually Gvardiol that's coming in. I
for
really like
Trent.
Gvardiol for those two fixtures. I mean, they're just
Yeah,
great. So right, so Palmer to Cliver, Gvardiol in for Trent. You said
Pedro to Wood,
Pedro to Wood and your other
and
forward.
Isaac to Haaland.
Oh, okay.
So that would mean obviously keeping Salah, but it would allow me, to do those moves. And I just think this is the one I'm favouring because there obviously there is a chance that we know that Newcastle got a double in Game Week 32, but the double in Game Week 33 looks a lot less likely now, which means we we probably won't have to keep Isaac for the whole season. It'll probably just be, a wild card in Game Week 30, 31, get Isaac for the double. And then, after that, he's disposable. So
Right.
the kind of team value thing doesn't really matter as much with him now, which is why I'm kind of erring towards that path. And I just want Salah because I think now that Isak's a lot more disposable, I might actually keep Salah on a wild card. I might not. I still might, wild card and not get Salah, but I think there's a more chance I keep him. And the game in Game Week 30 against Everton is just, obviously as good as they come. So I would ideally want to have him for that as well.
Okay, so that's the plan as it stands for 29.
Yeah.
We're obviously jumping ahead here, but realistically, do you think that what you're doing right now is sort of like leaving as many options open as you can? Like you're not set on those moves for 29. As you said, you're likely to roll this week. Is the
Yeah.
main thing to do in terms of just like chip strategy in general, just leave your options open when we're not entirely sure about, when it's going to be the best time to use these chips this season?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, think right now, just think about Game Week 29, whether you're going to free hit or not. And like the moves you make now, I think just think about the next 3 game weeks because whether you're free hitting or not, like in my position, I'm not free hitting, but the transfers I make now, I need to think about 28, 29, and 30 because I'll be wild carding in game week 31. So, but I still need to worry about the game weeks prior to that. And then when it comes to chip strategy, I'm not like until we get the information for the doubles in game week 33, possibly 34. I think it's 35 and 36 as well. It could be a possible double, and obviously it could be a possible blank in 37, and also the blank in 34. So until we get all that information, I'm not really thinking about any chip strategies, because from like the FA Cup games of the weekend, there have been like a lot of changes. I think my kind of tentative plan was to do wildcard 31, triple captain 32, bench boost 33 and free hit 34.
Yeah.
But that could possibly change now, just with what's happened and depending on where the fixtures end up. So in terms of what I've got planned right now, I know I'm not free hitting in 29. I know I will very likely wildcard in 31. After that, I'm not sure, and I'll decide once we get the fixtures.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, that's the strategy I'm on. In recent seasons, I suppose there's been more of like an obvious path, or one has
Yeah,
become more clear. It might be the case that there isn't one this entire season, which would be quite. I don't know. Like, yes,
yeah,
we'd get less like fewer overall games from our players if there are fewer doubles and blanks because you're just getting sort of one game per week for all your players on average, really. But it might be fun, just to be like, I want a free hit in this week. And yeah, there's not too much upside or downside to free hitting in any given week,
I
or
hope so.
it's more sort of opportunistic than getting your team set up for this exact week when you're going to bench boost with these exact players that you're seeing across a lot of teams. Who knows? It might still be relatively similar across a lot of teams. It probably will be. It always is, but maybe less so than most seasons. Let's talk about your recommended
Yeah,
transfer. It's on screen right now. I don't love it. I'm going to be honest. The recommendation for your team is to sell Joao Pedro this week and buy Chris Wood this week. Now, that
Mm,
is a move you said you're going to do in 29,
yeah,
but I'm not sure necessarily if it would be worth doing it this week. I personally wouldn't do it this week. I would wait, like you said, and get as much info as possible. What do you think about Joao Pedro's chances of starting? Are you going to start him in your team this week?
yeah. And I think I'll
Okay.
at the moment the way my team is set up, I've got Dango, Timber, and Mikolenko on the bench. So I'm going to start him over Dango because I
Yeah.
think there is more chance that he gets benched or reduced minutes. Because Van Listen started in the cup game and against Brighton, he scored as well. He
Mm.
looked fine. Especially come back from surgery. So either Dango gets put out to the left or he gets dropped, right? So I
Yeah.
think with Pedro, it's he's in a similar position, but I think he's like, I mean, he's been playing. Watching him play, he's been playing really well. But then so is Rutter and so is Welbeck. But I do think when everybody is fit and firing, the way with the way Hursley's spoken about João Pedro in the past, he is like clearly first choice, and he probably sees him as the best player in the team, and he's on penalties. So that's the reason I'm playing Pedro over Dango. But I do get that move from the algorithm though because João Pedro's minutes aren't secure. Like
Yeah, this
nobody.
is the thing. You can. Sorry, yeah. Sorry to interrupt. You can just see from that is the point. Is that João Pedro's minutes aren't that his
Yeah,
expected minutes compared to Wood are just way lower. So the algorithm is thinking if you're going to bench Dango,
yeah.
who do you want to come in? And then we have Wood there, and it also like City at home. It's actually not the worst fixture right now.
No, it's not. No,
If
I'm
arguably
with.
it's a decent fixture.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. And they've got Ipswich next game week,
Yeah.
in game week 29. So yeah, I understand that move, but I don't think I'll make it this week. Because I do think that if Pedro starts, then Fulham at home is better than City at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's just, do you think he's going to start or not? If not,
Yeah,
then maybe that transfer is worth it if you're going to do it anyway the next week. I personally wouldn't bring that forward. I don't know. I'm not sure about João Pedro starting. Like Welbeck, you'd imagine is going to start. He came off the bench, scored that goal,
Mhm.
looked good, looked sharp. Um, Rutter, I'd imagine would start as well, or maybe not. I don't know.
I think he's the one most likely to give away.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know. He's
even though
been
he
playing
has been
well.
playing well, he has, but they've all been playing well. Like
Yeah,
Pedro's just kind of. I think Pedro got a bit lucky because I think that injury, that tortoise injury that Welbeck
yeah,
got.
yeah,
He played. He end up. I mean, I think if Welbeck was fit, he would not have started that game, Pedro, and we'd been a bit of an issue at the moment. But he did end up starting, played brilliant. Then started the cup game, played good, scored. So yeah, he's played himself back in the team now.
Okay, so there we go. That is your recommended transfer by AI. If you would like your own recommended transfers, guys, for your personalized team, maybe your team, well, it probably is in a bit of a worse spot than Abdul's. And we're going to talk about a few players that obviously have had some, well, pretty serious either injuries or suspensions in a second. Then, if you have those players, you might want to utilize this. Get in the description, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, and get your own personalized recommended transfers. You don't have to use them, as I said with these ones. I personally wouldn't do this week. Abdul seems a little bit more open to it than me, but it gives you food for thought, and just an idea of what you potentially could do, that you might not have thought of. Let's talk about some of the players I just sort of mentioned and what you would do with. Let's start with the forwards. So Mateta obviously was assaulted quite brutally by the Millwall
Yeah.
goalkeeper. Some people saying it's the worst challenge they've ever seen on a football pitch. I'm not sure I'd go that far. I think it was quite unlucky. We've also seen similar things before with like Mane and Edison. It was a bad challenge nonetheless, definitely a red. And Mateta has had how many stitches? I think his ear must have been like falling off his head, which is terrible.
I think it was like 15.
Firstly, do you think he's going to play this week?
I don't think there's any chance he plays this week. I mean, not only because I think the concussion protocol is like 7 days, but if it's a really serious one, then it's 14 days.
Okay.
And the fact he's got stitches on his head, and the more I saw that tackle, the more I thought like it just honestly looked horrific.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the worst challenge I've ever seen, but it's definitely up there for me. I mean, the way his head bit back and oh, it's horrible. So yeah, I don't see him playing game week 28 at all. I'll be surprised if he's back. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for 30 as well.
Right.
Just kind of long kind of period because it is a really bad head injury. So they need to be careful with that. But if you've got Mateta, right, I think you've got to sell him because he's got the blank in gaming 28 29 as well, and we don't know how long it's going to be out. Kind of there further. I would probably be looking at either saving this week, right? So if you've got a good bench option, same goes for Cunha. If you've got a good
Yeah,
bench,
this is the other player that obviously now is going to be out
yeah,
for the next 3 weeks or whatever.
yeah. And I think obviously Cunha is a bit more of a sell because we know he's going to be banned for at least 3 games. But I think they're both in a similar position. Like if you've got one of them and if you can bench this week, then I'd try and bench and then get Haaland next week.
Right.
If you're not in a position to do that, then I think Chris Wood is probably the best option. In isolation, I think you've got Johan Wissa there, Marmoush, all great options, which you can bring in, and then you've got the cheaper guys as well, like your Beto, Strand Larson might be an option now as well. Obviously, Cunha's out for the next 4. He's going to get more
Yeah.
minutes. He's probably going to be on penalties as well, to be honest. Beto, who's been fantastic, of course. And then Danny Welbeck's 5.5 as well. So if you want to go down that cheaper route, then you've got them as well. But I think kind of like for like, Wood, Marmoush, and Wissa are probably the best 3 options. And if you're in the like obviously a really kind of unfortunate position of having both in your team,
Yeah.
then you could possibly like just take that gamble and go for them this week. Bring in like the likes of Wissa or a Marmoush or a Wood. Just do it this week. And you might have to possibly commit yourself to no Haaland in gaming 29 though, or or take a hit to bring him in, depending on how many transfers you have.
I like that advice because, yeah, if you can wait a week and keep the player on your bench, you might think you're sacrificing a lot of points there, sure. But in effect, it's sort of potentially saving a move. Like if you had Mateta and you weren't free hitting in 29, then you would have had to do Mateta out anyway.
Yeah,
And by just waiting and doing Mateta to Haaland, then that is the move you probably would have done anyway. So you're actually, you're losing Mateta's points this week, and yeah, don't get me wrong, you don't want to lose those. It was a very good fixture as well, but not the end of the world if you can wait. Like you don't want to do 2 moves for the sake of just one transfer out. But
just
yeah,
this
also
game
look,
week, yeah.
there's a bit of an opportunity looking at these players. Like Wood looks great, Wissa looks great, as you said. Like Marmoush could be really fun. I personally wouldn't go for Strand Larsen. I just think without Cunha, like Wolves' attack is just really, really poor. I think it's just so important to them.
Yeah.
I know, like on the one hand, he looks good because it's like, oh, now he's guaranteed minutes on pens, etc. But if that isn't actually worth that much, then I don't know if it's
Yeah,
worth
and
going
like
there.
yeah, I think he has an option about like when you got like a Beto who's cheaper and you got like Welbeck who's only a million more. I probably would agree with you. It'd probably be my least kind of preferred option out of them. But Wales' fixtures over the next 4 or 5 are amazing, like
Yeah,
really good. But yeah, without Cunha, they're just a different team, aren't they? Really, he's just so important to them, like kind of all around because he just does so much like of the dirty work as well. He's going to be a big miss for them.
do you know that? Like, I'd love to know the Wolves' win percentage or just like points per game with Cunha in and out of the team. It must be a big difference, to be
I
honest.
don't know. I don't know.
But
It's been interesting to look into that, to be honest. But yeah, not sure.
and then moving on to midfielders, Gordon. I don't think Gordon is in. What's Gordon's EO or his percentage ownership at the moment? I don't think it's super high.
I'm
Um,
not sure.
but
I think a lot of people have got rid of him over the last few weeks.
yeah,
I'm not entirely sure. Let me have a look.
but I mean, nonetheless, you got to sell him. I'd imagine now, and it gives us a chance to talk about midfielders in general. Now you have, well, Dango, who you're obviously benching this week. Semenyo has not been doing that much recently, and Burma and Salah have been decent. Palmer not great. Obviously
Mhm.
blanked last week. What are you thinking with your midfielders or just midfielders in general? If you had a Gordon, where would you be looking to go?
To be honest, I'd probably still be looking at Brentford. Like I'd probably looking at Kluivert or Semenyo still, because like if you're just looking at, I mean, the only thing happens with Brentford, with Bournemouth now that if Alisson is back, it really just makes Dango Tara, a much kind of poorer option.
Yeah,
Possibly has a real knock-on effect on Kluivert as well, but I still think he'll get plenty of minutes and he's on penalties. But they've got Spurs, they've got Brentford at home, then Ipswich at home, and then West Ham, and then Fulham at home. So like those fixtures, you can't really ask for much better in terms of like attack. And I'd still be looking at Bournemouth midfielders. If you already obviously if you've already got like a double up, then you're probably kind of looking at Mbeumo if you don't have him. Yeah, I think yeah, you could possibly look at Bruno Fernandes. He was one player I
yeah,
was looking at actually to bring it in as part of my four transfers, but I just couldn't make it work with the money. But look, they've got less than 29, and then they've got tough fixtures on paper. But we've seen Bruno so many times this season, like he just pulls points out the bag. He got two assists last game week, 10-pointer. He scored against Everton the week before that 10-pointer.
yeah.
They're not getting the results, but he's getting the points.
That's the thing. He started to do it recently. I was frustrated owning him earlier in the season, but you see now like, how good of an asset he can be because, as you said, like he will just pick up points. And
Yeah.
I do feel a lot of it you can't really sort of predict with him and United in general, which is one of the reasons I don't love it as a pick. But Leicester away it doesn't get much better than that
Yeah.
as a fixture.
And I think with Bruno, he's just one of those players where you've got to just keep patient, just bring him in and just stick with him.
Yeah,
He's one of those like 90-minute man on penalties. He'll do well over like a long period of fixtures, but you do need that commitment and patience with Bruno.
absolutely. Just a word on Cunha. He's been involved in 17 of Wolves' 37 league goals. So that's about 45% goal involvement. So obviously pretty talismanic. Also, the Wolves haven't won a league game this season when Cunha hasn't scored,
Wow.
which isn't the most crazy statistic. I mean, if Wolves are going to win a
Well,
game, they're probably going to have to score 2 goals, and you expect Cunha to score. But it shows that like he is obviously very important. I'm not saying
yeah.
anything here that isn't we don't already know, but it's going to have like big effects on Wolves as an attacking force.
From what I can see, he's only actually missed one game this season.
It was that, yeah, because it was that suspension for the glasses incident that was a bit
Yeah, it was
weird, and
like
actually he
prolonged and
wasn't.
prolonged. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, because of that, I just thought he missed a lot more games, but he's actually only missed one game this season. And this suspension he's got now is going to be like his first kind of, well, his second, third, and fourth actually suspended
mm,
games. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess what's more important then is what you were saying about how many goals he scored and how many of those have kind of led to wins or whatever. But he's definitely gonna be a miss for them. He's definitely gonna be a miss for them,
yeah, no doubt about that.
no doubt.
Okay, anything else that we might have missed in this one? Anything that we've talked about midfielders, talked about forwards, defenders? Sort of. There's not too much to talk about. You mentioned Guardiola as one to look out
Yeah,
for. Lewis Hall actually is probably the final player that we need to talk about that is going to be out for the
yeah,
season now. Um,
yeah,
so potential replacements for him is my final question to you.
yeah. I think it depends if you're free hit 29 or not. I think if you are free hit 29, then for me it's clearly Munoz
Yeah,
is the best option there. If you aren't free hitting, then obviously there's a lot more you could go for because obviously then Munoz is off the table. Then if you can get to Guardiola, of course, he is the best option. But if you're not able to get to Guardiola in one move, then you're probably looking at, I'd say, again, Bournemouth defenders. Either a Hudson or a Kerkez if you've got the extra and you want to go for the attacking threat. But yeah, it's not really kind of much more than that, because I think a lot of us, if you're not free hitting in 29, you've only got like a 3 game week horizon. I think a lot of us who don't free hit in game week 20 are going to wild card in game week 31. So you've got to only kind of really look at the next few games.
Yeah.
Whether if you are free hitting in 29, then you're only really looking at this week, and then the fixtures after game week 29. And for that, Palace have got good fixtures coming out of blank game week 29 too. So that's who I'd be looking at mainly. If I had Lewis Hall in the team.
Okay, there we go. Pretty good advice there, I must say. Thank you very much, as always, Abdul.
Sorry, excuse
Still,
me. I just remembered I forgot about Ryan Aït-Nouri. He's another one who
yeah, yeah.
definitely be getting in. If you went free hitting in 29, he's
Well,
probably
he
one
is
to
he
do
is
it.
high on the predicted points. Actually, he's the highest of his in his sort of bracket of prices by quite a long way. As you can see on the right, Cucurella is slightly behind him, but there's no one under 5 million that's around him. I mean, Hoyson and Kirk are close, to be fair, but again, I don't know. I feel like not having Cunha in the team is huge for Wolves. I would just be very wary of them in general. I'm not sure I'd go there, but as you said with Strand Larson, the fixtures don't get much better. And we know that
Yeah,
Aït Nouri can be very attacking. He might have more onus on him now that Cunha's out of the team. Who knows?
possibly.
But there we go. Right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you very much, mate. As always, hope you guys enjoyed. If you do have any further questions or queries about individual players or anything, drop them in the comments down below. I think we covered most things. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Sign up to Fantasy Football Hub down below if you haven't done already. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.